welcome to the AI Ranch. Today I'm together with the Asia AI core team, the product designer and designer general Ariel, and CTO Al-Tech Paul. So everybody is talking about AI agents, right? But there are some problems. We will add in the show notes. There is some public talks about this and public resources where, for example, this one AI agent system, which promised fully automate development work, and like Devin, it was called. And now, recently, they released that they tested on real life scenarios, and only 13.86%, or let's say 14% cases of 570 issues, the real jobs, were able to fully automate. All other work was necessary to supervise by human. So we see that full AI automation seems to be in the future still. What are your experience with these claims and AI agents?
It's definitely in the future because, okay, if, for example, Devin could solve 14% of the issues, that's cool. How do I know which issues to give it, which will it be able to solve?
Yeah, it was like you give some problem and you don't know if it can fully automate.
So it can solve 14% of issues without human supervision, but I need to supervise to know if it was able to successfully solve this issue. And for Devin, it's actually quite cool because it refuses to push to master, which means it refuses to make changes in code that no one will supervise. It only basically makes a code change and asks someone to review it. And although there is this review process recently, I don't remember which company, but lost quite a big amount of money because it pushed some changes that pushed large files to some file servers that resulted in large traffic, and I think $1,000 or a few $1,000 bill to that company before it was caught.
There are interesting cases which we know. We also develop our own AI agent system, but it is human supervised. So we developed this LDGen system, which helps, for example, one of the tasks to provide email answers, but not just from text, from different integrations. From, let's say, we have the parking operators integrated with ticketing systems and all of that, and this is great. But at the same time, it is not fully automated. We give it to review, and we still see that there is a significant portion where somebody needs to add something, but it's way quicker.
You use the correct word. It helps. It doesn't replace fully
yet.
And I
maybe
think
yet, maybe not. But
I mean, that's like I told this to you the other day, is that I think the trend for the product side is that instead of thinking it as some sort of like it's going to solve everything like a silver bullet, how does that changes the people who actually work with these products, like, you know, supervision. And I think the keywords there are quality management and just control. And the idea would be that if before you did it, now your task is to control it and improve the quality of it. And this means that if you have a task that you can scale, maybe you don't need 10 people who does that task, but that you have like 1 or 2 quality managers, and then they just control these processes.
There is interesting like train of thought in that direction. So there is this thing called Jevons paradox. So it was from 19th century. So this was economist, and he was observing interesting pattern. So there is this steam engines and coal production, right? Like the black stuff you take out of the earth. And you know what's
the
coal,
black
right?
stuff. What is that?
Cool. So it became way easier to produce coal, and everybody was expecting that there will be less workers in the coal industry because it will be easy to extract coal. But what happened was that as soon as it got easier, there were way more demand. Everybody was starting using coal more, and there were even more workers working and producing like 10 times more. So
this is what I said in our first podcast together, where we were talking about how agents will allow companies to fire people. And I said that, in my opinion, smart companies will just make more products. They will use these same qualified and people, just give them more tools so they can do more. And for example, if we are building 3 major products right now, then using AI, maybe we will be able to build 6, maybe 9. Basically, it allows us to scale more and do more things with the same given resources.
Yeah, and this repeats in history many times. Like, it's not just about coal. It was also documented about ATMs, these cash machines for the banks. Like, it was expected that there will not be bank tellers or those who issue money by hand. But what actually happened was in the 80s in America and other regions, so they started deploying these machines. It was cheap to deploy them. And that's why they also increased the number of branches, because it was easy to cheap to deploy these things, and it increased demand from other services, and they just had more tellers actually, which was counterintuitive. And the same also I read about LED lights. Basically, everybody thought that LED lights will reduce the consumption of energy, but there is also some of research show that people are now using LED lights way more than previously without LED lights.
I would still argue that decreased the usage of electricity, probably, because of how big the decrease of energy usage is.
You need to look at
then it decreased the usage for lights, but increased for servers. So no, it's just there's
so,
also...
but this was on the same thought about the let's say an example of these automated customer service personalized experiences, which we also right now are working with some of these, let's say, private jet companies where there is like the emails coming back and forth, and you want some personalization in those emails, but and also quality, quick responses. Nobody wants to go and search, so you replace the person at the email or enable 10 times more, but you still need one extra thing. You need, what I have noticed, and maybe you also can comment on this, that as soon as you start deploying AI agents somewhere, you need not only somebody who supervises from the business process, but also from being able to integrate it, basically AI integrators, and that is an expensive role. So you're just kind of replacing, let's say, 9 people of lower salary with somebody with one very high salary.
I mean, like, I think, so this is, I've thought about this. So think about this. There are three types of products or ways how to look at this. You have your GPT type of agents, you have Manus and all sorts of like wrappers that uses these large language models to create some sort of agentic, like deep search, or what was it for Grok, the other thing as well, something similar. So these are sort of agentic, it goes through tasks. Then you have these agent builder platforms like N8N or something like that, where you build trees of actions and you add things. And then there's something like what we do with Eldigan. I think it is a bit different. I think we don't focus so much on the...
It's not generic.
It's not
we are the one expensive person that gets hired to solve concrete specific business issue.
Yeah, it's
not
like kind
make
of
something generic.
what we offer. It's kind of a AI integrator with the platform together, basically. But
I think there's the difference would be that we don't build trees, at least yet. And the idea would be we're trying to simplify with design how you build agents, because you drop...
We do build those trees. We just build them in code, while others make the client himself build them in user interface.
And this is my experience with some of the people that have come to our office, like other company managers and stuff. They would say, I have tried N8N, and it's tried a couple of days. I didn't implement it, I didn't test it. it was a bit too complicated. And then the question is, actually, who is it designed for? Okay, it seems like it's designed for these AI integrators.
Oh, he has a point. Imagine all of these platforms like N8 and or these where you put the boxes, right, and connect them together, but then give these boxes to Ariel and they'll make me an AI agent.
That's not a problem.
He will understand them. If our organization is using only some standardized tools, like if we are using Salesforce and we are using something like that, then he will understand. If our internal client communications are written down in Excel, if they are in some unstandard format, that's where the issues start.
I mean, like, first of all, even the basics, like we have the robocall project, right? So we're designing these automatic advanced voice agents, and a simple debt collection call with 3 nods of like, there's your, you're in debt, will you pay? There's like 5 layers of that tree. What we're talking about agents, we might have a layers of 100 branches or 1,000 branches, and the idea what GPT does with the first approach is that they don't show you the tree, they maybe show that what they did the tasks, you start to think, that's the thinking mode, right? So then you have the trees, full control AI, and then it's something that we're trying to maybe do, maybe right, maybe not, but we don't show all that stuff, we just show the basic control tools and quality issues, and that's how you manage. And I think that's where my personal prediction is, I don't look at the future as like, we're not there with the agents. I think more like, what could we do today in this year so we could use it faster? And I think the first issue is how to show the quality issues faster, and second, how to give control of what's happening. Because often these agent task tools, they do automatic things, or you have to design massive trees that you have to learn how to do. And most people
they
can
are
do
not
that.
reliable to do the work fully automatically. They need a human in the loop. So, and I think there is a like contrast between capability and reliability. So capability means that I have these, even you could find very easily, there is IQ tests given every day to all of the models, and you see they are quite capable. The O3 is like over 130, the very high IQ model. But at the same time, I cannot trust it to automate a lot of things because it's still not reliable. Do you have any experience on that front?
I guess the biggest example is with all the code generation tools, where in my testing, I haven't tested some of the latest ones. I recently came across another one that I still haven't tested. But in my experience is that I asked them to generate, for example, a landing page for this kind of product, and it generates it. It generates it quite nicely. But then I asked it to change the primary color from green to red, for example, in all the buttons. And suddenly it starts changing random things. The buttons become round for some reason and so on. And that's the reliability part. It's quite capable of generating something. It's not so capable of following up on its actions. And for example, automating your emails, it's not just generating a nice sounding email. It's about following up on some information in database, some information in
Other
previous
service?
On some other service, some information in previous emails, and at that moment it becomes quite complicated.
I also think there's a little bit of hype about these MCP plugins.
That's one thing I disagree, because that is what enables, for example, GPT deep research that Ariel's mentioned, and that enables.
Oh, it exactly. So explain listeners what it is.
Basically, MCP is a way how large language models can request
Model context protocol.
Yes, it can request information from other services.
In natural language?
Not quite, because it generates basically call. For example, GPT wants some information from Google. It it's a standardized way how it can send a request to get first 10 listings of some query, for example. And it gets back the information in a standardized way that it can parse and work on it.
Why not in some other way?
What other way?
Any.
Yeah, you could implement some other way how you, for example, beforehand ask Google the same thing and give it beforehand to GPT. Only thing it changes is that you have a lot more work to do to find the relevant things. Well, GPT, in this case, GPT can ask for what's relevant itself.
Again, I'll draw the conversation back to design and like normal, like not PhD people like you and you, a master's person. My point is that I was thinking about like how should we look at the agents and stuff, and I kept thinking about IKEA. Like when you buy an IKEA, like some sort of furniture, right, or whatever, it comes with a manual because it will come with a box and you have to put it together yourself. Somebody did design the manual, right, and somebody first of all designed the product, then they designed the manual, and the manual is made as simple as possible, right? I think the problem with these agents is that there is missing the manual and you basically don't know even how to put it together, and then the manual is being drawn like
I never read manuals.
There are that kind of persons, but with the manuals, if the manual, for example, for latest GPT models, the knowledge cutoff date is, I think, last year's September. Basically, if the IKEA product came out before last year's September, the model probably is trained on this tutorial how to put the shelf together. But you buy something new. IKEA comes out with new type of shelf that...
What was that? You know, rag and...
that's what I'm going to. You buy a newer shelf, and the model isn't trained on that information. And that's where MCP comes in.
No, I remember, like literally, I remember like 10 years ago how it was multi-agent systems and there were specific languages, how agents should talk to each other. And then we discovered recently, and now we're going back to this weird notion, is that maybe one of the most efficient ways how to communicate is actual natural language.
But this isn't communication. Okay, I haven't read really deeply about this. But from what I understand, it isn't two models communicating with each other. It's model communicating with some data service, some database. For example, I'm coding something in, let's say, Python, popular programming language. Their new version comes out with new standards.
But imagine it's easy
the model isn't trained on that. But in my code editor, I can say, use this specific pattern from newer version, look up the documentation for it. And it knows to call a service that gives it the newest documentation.
I see the point that it is more again about reliability, because it's more reliable if you have a same structure between versions. But at the same time, you can imagine like anyone could suddenly, I need video file, I need audio, I need some kind of interesting time series data, sensor data, whatever I need to then encode it in that specific format.
But in the backend, it's still, for example,
you're going to
no. First of all, I think you guys misunderstand me. It's a symbolism idea of what it means to design agent process, whatever, and the IKEA is an example, because if you would write the manual in natural language, would it be easier to put together the furniture?
No, the easiest way is the pictures.
Yeah, the pictures and the diagrams and the little buttons and some little... I think there's no words actually in IKEA manuals. But my point would be that when you think about an agent process or whatever, the tree is a complicated idea. That's not IKEA manual. There should be some sort of more simple way how to understand a complex idea for most people. And the thing about somebody who designed the furniture for IKEA, he did all these iterations, how to put this together, how to make it good manual. but I don't need to know all these design decisions. I just need to know how does it work basic, and then I can operate and see whether the quality is done. Like, is it put together the right way? And then I can repeat it. And I think that's the issue right now, that we don't have some sort of simplified way how to see what's happening and how you can control the quality of that.
But there are limited ways how we can allow users to enter their information for the models, for the agents to help them. Because the best way how to enter information still is natural language. It's not that we can ask, for example, okay, for you, maybe we could ask. For me, it wouldn't work if I had to draw instructions for agent.
I think what I imagine at the end it could be that you have like this personal coach that helps you to develop your robocall agent, which talks to you in like an interview manner, or confirms if this is what you want, this is how it works.
So it's an assistant over the agent.
So yeah, it helps you to build AI systems in a way where you understand things, make sure you understand things.
So it doesn't move too fast before you understand what you're doing,
yeah,
actually.
You don't need actually instructions. You need somebody who guides you to this process, but not guiding like these old style chatbots where you get annoyed, don't understand what you ask.
The new assistants, though, aren't better. I don't know if you have any experience with Google Cloud, Amazon Cloud, Oracle Cloud. They all have this AI assistants now in the console interfaces. And all of them are shit. All of them don't actually help, and regular old-style manuals are a lot more reliable, at least.
See, interesting. From my experience, I see that, I don't know exactly why, but there has been already these examples where large corporations deploy these OpenAI assisted agents, chatbots and stuff, but you immediately see that there is very little work behind it.
They definitely have all the RAG and all other terms that you're talking about.
Vanilla RAG, everything is like it is. I know we develop with the Eldigan platform. We know even with a relatively small team, it takes like huge resources to kind of, as we talked, to make it reliable. And then at the same time, you see easily that somebody deploys on like let's say GM or Ford website some kind of chatbot where you write, give me a recipe of pancake, and it gives you.
There's a difference between helping you solve some specific issue and giving you a recipe of pancakes.
No, but you get the point. Like, you immediately see that many of these corporations, I don't know, like the exact thought pattern there, but they deploy systems which are not properly managed, and then it fails, and then it creates like wrong impression about things.
I could like argue maybe it's because it was given to IT department, not quality managers. Again, just thinking, and
but still, IT department is the best person to communicate with other IT departments.
Because developers will lose their jobs. They need to design the agents so they keep their jobs.
So anyways, we can wrap this section with the Andrej Koparty saying, which I sometimes repeat, is the so he was the Stanford's one of the first new wave of AI researchers. Plus, also he was Tesla AI director, OpenAI researcher. So, and he said recently that AI agents are like self-driving cars. They're easy to make a demo, very hard for production.
I would argue that it's the same for all kinds of systems, especially AI systems, but all other systems also.
I think the places where AI agents are interesting is as we are talking in Eldigan, where there is the human supervision step, or where you don't need very high level of reliability. For example, there was this recently came out just few days ago, the study from University of Zurich, which is the equivalent of Stanford in Europe, one of the top 5 universities in the world. And they actually conducted the experiment, and this was I think it was like from last year's November up till April, that in Reddit they deployed 3 types of AI agents, which manipulated the perception and human perception, and basically manipulated the way how humans answer. And they said that they were quite successful. And I get the peer-reviewed study, as I understood, is not yet out, but they report that they managed to with 1,500 comments and 13 AI controlled agents convince at least 100 users to change their thoughts. And they for example deployed Palestinian supporter bot which posted misinformation, as they say, about anti-Israel statements to make sure that Reddit users who were pro-Israel become against Israel. So things of that sort.
Once again, this shows that don't trust everything on the internet. If you see any statistics, try to find the source of it.
No, but this is the main source.
Yes, but just that if someone says something on Reddit, it doesn't mean it's true. If someone says something on news, more likely that it's true, but still check.
It's interesting, just like, like you don't need high reliability on these kind of systems, but they have an effect. For example, also I recently talked with one of the European NATO researchers, so Jan Sarts, and he was publishing the results that they used O1 preview model to also communicate in chats, and they were able to convince 80% of people to change their thoughts about some kind of war topic or something like that. So I don't know like exactly how scientific was their study, but in general, what do you think about AI agents where they don't need to be highly reliable, but they steer the basically opinions?
I mean, it's interesting that there's this Nobel Prize winner. What is his name?
Jeffrey Hinton.
Yes, and he had an interview this week, and basically they were talking a lot about these, super smart AIs, AGIs, whatever, and what would be the synonym of what would be the synonym of how they act. What a picture, if you would imagine a picture. And he said it's like a kindergarten, and we are the kids, and then you have the teachers around you. And they can manipulate us in any way we want, even if we think we're in control. And I think this is the scary idea, where if somebody has access as a kid to one of the teachers, he can manipulate all the kids, and like just with a goal setting, like saying, like, try to convince that eating 1 candy per day is good because we have done our chores, or then 2 candies per day, and then a year later, every day you get a candy, and then basically you develop some sicknesses and whatever, and all these things, because there's a trust and all these ways how they know how to manipulate kids. So I think whoever has and this is maybe the first level of how the easiest way how to use agents is to think about as like a bot that you email. It's a communication bot. Just add it to any sort of communication channel, and that's why we talked about the fact that it's likely that email will have like a postmark, or was it a
post stamp? Yeah, that was the thought, that as soon as the automation of communication becomes commonplace, at some point there will be either I would think some AI agent filters, basically that delivers only the emails that I need to pay attention, or maybe monetary system where, like in the old days, post stamps, when I had to pay money so that other person would actually look at what I'm sending.
Exactly. So I think that's just the kind of idea that, well, in some sense, what Elon said about subscription, if you know that on the platform there are a lot of agent or AI content, if you buy a subscription, you at least know that these other people have also bought subscription, and it's monetary, not
Why wouldn't I buy subscription for my AI account?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah,
It's-
you
it's-
can,
Exactly.
but at scale. Think about it. If you want to do some sort of like, okay, so you want to seduce your like girl that you like, right? So you pay an agent and it does all this thing, and it's very simple. But if you scale that, and if you want to change the society's
Somebody built that kind of agent.
I don't know, like it's kind of creepy, but think about like a society changing agent who wants to
Or
convince you
scammers.
to that peanuts are unhealthy. Like my colleague here in the office said today, 10 minutes, he just said, peanut butter is unhealthy. I was like, I never known this. Like, and then he gives me all these arguments of why it's not healthy. And then, okay, he's one person, but now if everyone in the office would keep telling me that, maybe I start to believe that.
Yeah, that is one of the ways how they manipulate things. Like, if
But
yeah.
still, it depends who's behind that attempt at manipulation. If, for example, oil industry wants to say that electric cars are worse than oil, then they have millions. They can afford million tick marks on X.
Yeah, but it's
So-
Like,
this is not different from current situation in terms of attacks. For example, you know, captchas, and even the Google captchas where they make you label their data sets, right? With find in all pictures with dogs, and then they basically train the models on what you. That's why I always press the wrong button where there is cat. But
You're just wasting your own time. That's the only thing you're gaining
no,
from
but
that.
I like 9 out of 10 times I get past that.
Yeah, but then you want to find some specific image on Google Images to reference in
yeah,
one of
I'm
your
responsible
lectures.
for wrong pictures in Google Image. But anyways, I was telling that you have these captchas, you have these tools to kind of protect against automated attacks, and they are, you can bypass them. You can build AI systems. Yeah, it makes harder, it pays more. So basically, either you have a free vector of attack where you just have a website where everybody can bombard you, right? Or you have captcha, and then you need to pay, let's say, 20 cents for each attack. So, and this is the same here. So you have some kind of monetary system, like Ariel mentioned on X, where you need to pay some subscription. Then the attacker this cost more. And if you're saying that the attacker has a lot of money, it's
I mean,
but,
like
yeah.
one of the like big debates that we might get into trouble, or me, is that, you know, the global warming, all that kind of stuff. And one of the reasons is I spoke to some person who is working in wind farms, and the conversation went up something like this. They said that they're still throwing a lot of money on wind farms. They say that's green energy, all that good. But then it said, I've heard that there is like an issue of how to dispose these wind turbines because they have materials. And it says, it's absolutely true. Nobody talks about that. That's not on the agenda.
Some talk. There is one company somewhere in Asia, I don't remember. At least there was one a few years ago, who were the first ones to actually not only just bury the wind
You
turbine
need to
wings.
bury them? It's
I don't
like a funeral.
No, you just dig them down or leave them on field to rot because it's fiberglass. It cannot really be recycled, but they started making, I don't remember, either building materials or like boats or something out of them, and actually reusing and giving the second life to them.
It doesn't sound very scalable,
But my point was that you know, that's the story of like, you know, there is a narrative like we need green energy in the world, and then the narrative that there are consequences of that that's suppressed. The reason why I say that is it's kind of the narrative that the media says, that all the kind of experts says, but it's not
not all the experts.
But there's also question of what type of pollution you gain from it. If we are talking about global warming and greenhouse gases, leaving some fiberglass on the ground doesn't increase the global warming, while burning coal increases it. If we are talking about trash, then probably coal burning is better.
I mean,
but
yeah.
Can you burn the
So
windmills?
on that note, like, you know, there is again, I've heard this recently, there's some sort of greening effect on the world right now. Again, I can't cite the exact study, but that there are more trees today in the world.
Yeah, the greening effect.
And so that is CO2 also. But again, my point is, But think about this. You have an AI agent that can push a narrative saying there's a global warming. We need to shift all the world's money from governments into green energy, where there are interest groups that actually captures that money and they charge extra, like top dollars, but because that's a massive issue. And then the AIs convince the whole world to spend that money on that.
The question is, why do you need AI for that? First of all, that's happening. That was happening way before. There always has been some pushing of narratives. There's always been paying for news to get higher up in the papers and so on.
I think they even renamed the propaganda to PR. Actually, that is a documentable fact.
There, both letters of PR is somewhere in propaganda, so I can see that. One big thing I want to still ask, yes, AI agents can solve many things. My question is, which of them actually should be solved by AI agents, or just look at things a different way, and at least those who are not malicious should try some other ways.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's interesting. It's about the IKEA paradox, because again, their idea was how to democratize design, how to make cheap stuff for most people. Because before, in the 20th century, there was this situation where most people didn't have furniture at home, or they had it very ugly, and they were like, how can we make something that everyone could have something beautiful at home? But the issue is there that you have to make it so it's easy to produce, easy to put together, and so then you have to have great designers who make it and work it, and manufacturing as well. And you could say, oh, let's make an AI to make amazing furniture, like really cool, but that's expensive. It's a totally different way how to look at it. So maybe some of the issues that we currently have shouldn't be solved with AI, like you say as well.
I don't know. I like so far.
You like AI, we know that.
Oh, yes.
Everything can be solved by AI, but
should it? That's the question.
Yeah, actually, we are not yet in the future, as we talked. That there's only 14% real life cases where AI actually worked, but was able to automate things. But in the hypothetical future, then what would happen is probably, I don't believe actually you could in another discussion argue about the universal income, but what I would believe could happen is the AI tax. Basically, if you have things which humans can do and then their AI can do, and maybe we want to regulate so that there is some meaningful work for humans and at the same time provide everybody luxury, basically, so that AI can build things, then we could regulate it by some kind of AI tax.
Luxury is another interesting word you mentioned, because I believe it's already happening, but it will happen more, that people will give higher value to things that are not AI based. If an actual designer designed the website, Ariel will be much happier about this website than if AI has generated it.
Maybe we should add
completely true.
Label organic intelligence.
So you have the paintings here, right? So these paintings are reproductions, right? So they are, somebody actually painted them. So there's a value to that. And there's obviously artists who did the original design, somebody repainted it, there's a history. But my point here is that in illustrations, for instance, some of the AI models can develop amazing illustrations that a designer would take, I don't know, a week or 2 weeks to design or illustrate, and it would not be even close to that. So you have this democratized approach where you can access this amazing design. And then the question will be, okay, so what to do with these super cool artists? And I think they will become more like actual artists. They will sell like paintings or something that says, I draw this a month.
Again, I say organic intelligence.
Yeah, but it will be... the value will be in the human touch and the time it took, not so much.
It will change the way how we operate. Okay, so let's wrap up with this. So encourage listeners to try out either our tool Eldigan, where we have the email automations, or as you say, image generation tools, and try to make such a painting yourself with let's say Gemini or GPT image generators, which are good. And let's wrap it up, right? So thank you for watching the episode of AI Ranch, and as a gratitude, like, subscribe, and see you in the next one.